real quick at the beginning.
Let's go.
Okay, cameraman is ready. Thank you. So welcome everyone to the WAX OIG Roundtable number 14. Today is January 30th and we have the second one of this year. Our agenda today is kind of thin, but nevertheless, I'm going to walk you through a few updates from the past 14 and 30 days. Since we haven't done it in a while, looking at the performance and reliability of the network, we see there have been some minor incidents with rounds missed and a bigger one, but overall, everything seems pretty stable on the reliable side. Also, CPU benchmarks are looking pretty good at the moment with one outlier. Pretty stable from that perspective. Looking at some more detailed node stats, we see that we had some unfortunate double producing incidents in the last 14 days. Only 2 of the guilds were affected. Blockchain stats, EOS Nation. I think nothing very important to get into on those charts. Overall, pretty stable network even after the rollout of Power Up on WAX. Another bit of information I would like to share with you is we've seen that after rolling out Power Up and introducing transaction fees on WAX, some of the highly interacted with dApps seem to have lower absolute numbers in people mining and interacting with those contracts. That's interesting to see too. For
One
us,
piece on that, they banned a bunch of accounts too.
Okay,
I later
so
learned.
that might be the reason for those absolute numbers going down.
It definitely helped change the numbers and trajectory, but for the sake of the argument, there are a lot of things that happened. But yeah, it definitely has changed.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next on the list, just a short overview. We are conducting technical evaluations this week, but still, I will report to you that the network is still very performant. We don't see huge drops in uptime on the several APIs we are hosting. Nothing special to get into here too. Overall, very proud of such a reliable network, and honestly, the amount of traffic and data we are transferring to consumers and other people is incredible compared to other networks still. So next on the list, just a few short updates for the past 2 weeks. Since you're all WAXP holders, there is an airdrop coming on WAX Woofy. All you need to do is have WAX staked when the airdrop is happening. The airdrop is structured in tiers, so you may have anything between 1,000 and 10,000 WAX staked or liquid on a wallet at the time when the airdrop is happening to be eligible to receive your airdrop of Woofy. The airdrop is going to happen tomorrow, 4 p.m. PST. I don't know how that translates to UTC, but it shall be tomorrow. A few more details about the token distribution on the Medium article. Also a nice bounty block campaign with a lot of engagement on this airdrop campaign with many entries. You can share it to your communities. Maybe people didn't notice yet. It's ending in 1 day and 1 hour. So that's it for the airdrop. What else do we have here? Last week we had a short demo of Talos, which is a ship consumer, let's call it like that, a ship streaming tool or service that you can host on your own. All you need as a requirement is a ship node. I linked the repository on GitHub here. The documentation has been updated in the last week, so it now has even examples and also an overview of the architecture. Very nice tool. We've seen also some use cases on it. Namely, WaxDAO has implemented a custom backend to fetch some token balances and liquidity positions on several DEXs, which are displayed on this site. So this is some of the first products built on top of Talos or using Talos. Right. Next on the list, we had a wonderful article from Ross from Eosphere, a technical article about implementing TCP BBR congestion control. I'm not a network expert, but the article explained in a few sentences pretty good what it's all about and the alternative that has been used in the past, TCP cubic, and also the improvements you can receive from implementing TCP BBR on your service. I'll hand the word to Ross for a minute to extend that.
I know how you all love my technical articles. I
Yeah.
just went a little bit off reservation for this one. It might actually help you with Starlink or any kind of congested latent links that you have. I'm actually a network engineer by trade, and I was looking for something that would be able to optimize TCP window size. And I actually didn't realize that Google had already put all the effort into this bottleneck bandwidth and route trip propagation time TCP congestion mechanism. And it's actually included in the latest kernels, 5.15, I think, on Ubuntu, so you can actually turn it on. The idea being that instead of relying on a dropping of packets for it to start to scale up the transmission rate, it actually uses some round trip time and some latency calculations, estimates bandwidth, and then slowly scales back the TCP window. If you're familiar with how TCP actually works, Cubic's going to be pretty decent as well anyway, but it is still monitoring just packet loss, and then it drops the window back. So I've got some subjective feeling about how it worked. I've got some storage servers that are hosted on the other side of the world, and I could see when I was copying data across here in Perth, where the other side of the world is 500 milliseconds away, right? I could see that it was definitely doing something. Like, it wasn't keeping a nice constant stream. So I implemented BBR, and it seemed to work okay. You see how I got the little batteries not included, toy sold separately, asterisk, highlight there. Obviously you want to test it first. I wouldn't be putting it into production, but it should work quite well for APIs, for web pages. If you run anything in Google Cloud, they actually automatically enable it on all of their images. So have a go. I didn't know it actually existed, and I'm definitely using it in a few places. But yeah, running stuff through a satellite or block produce on a cruise ship somewhere, it actually might help you.
Great. I just thanks for the explanation. I just shared the link here in the chat. I also took my time to understand it. But nevertheless, if you're not so deep into network configurations and a network guy especially, it reads Chinese to me. All right. Thanks for that. And then next on the agenda, which will be probably some of the main topics today, is Hyperion, and we got Igor here with us today, and we want to talk about the current development and maybe also ask for some feedbacks and suggestions for the next release. Right, Igor?
Yeah. So our next next update. I mean, our next objective is to keep it as bug-free as possible and to prepare for the 4.0 release. Because we have 4.0 kind of ready to go, but it's based on an older version. So I want to collect feedback, to see what's more important to fix right now on the current version, so we can backport those to 4.0, and then it will be better to release 4.0 with everything fixed instead of trying to push the patches later on after we already fixed that on 3.9 on the latest versions. And in terms of new features, I mean, we want to refactor a little bit the streaming API. Not much, but we see that that's an area where we need to work a little bit. Um, and we want also to implement in the future, not right now, like features related to indexing, IBC stuff and EVM stuff when those are more well consolidated on the network.
Got it.
And yeah, right. If someone on the call wants to give feedback, I would suggest writing it either on GitHub or on the Telegram group, which is better to keep track of that instead of on audio. But if anyone has anything to say in the call, please feel free.
Yeah. Now it's the time to shine, developers and guilds.
Yeah.
If you have any comments and
Oh,
questions.
and another thing that's important, I was talking with it was Anders in the group. There is I don't remember the actual case. There was a situation where we were cutting data to optimize for space, and it was an edge case, right? For transactions that got executed twice in this, no, sorry, actions transfer executed twice in the same transaction, something like this. And if they are with the exact same value, memo, and everything, they would be optimized and cut out from the storage. It's a weird edge case, but we had to analyze this because if we remove the storage optimization to be able to index this, there will be a lot of extra notifications, and the storage might increase. So this is something that we might want to discuss, or maybe make it optional and just enable on some transfers, or like on transfers, not all actions. I don't know. This is another thing that we recently talked about and started some discussion here also. And how we would move in the future to make the storage even more optimized if you want to do so.
So you all know the rules. Raise your hands and let's get into talking. If there's any further comment.
Is it specifically about the dedupe or just in general about?
No, everything. Like if you think something is very important to be fixed, like now before we get the update, because 4.0 changes most of the internal structure of the software, like not in terms of functionality, but in terms of how it's coded. And then it will be easier to develop afterwards, but it will also be harder to port the changes that we fix now. So it's better to fix them now.
Will it require a reindex?
No. Reindexing, it might be needed in the future if we decide to implement something drastically different from now. But this changes like a big update on all dependencies, and also moving to a pure ESM approach that will allow easier development and less bugs, hopefully, in the future because of better type checking.
Okay, well, I've got a few things. Chat? Wait, you put his hand up first.
Yeah. Anders, please.
Yeah, okay. I was first. Is there any plans to incorporate elastic transform nodes and indexes for Hyperion? Since the data is really growing, transform is basically, for anyone else, is you take preconceived aggregations of data to make it faster to query and optimize for specific use cases. Could
You mean
improve a lot.
natively because
Yeah.
you could create a pipeline and use that pipeline right now. But you mean natively? No,
Yeah.
nothing planned, but this could be if you think like there's a general use case where a transform pipeline would be more efficient to have. Or I mean, some aggregation that's very commonly used. This is probably something we can add to list. But I mean, it's this would be like a very plug and play feature, maybe a plugin that will enable transforms. Um, but yeah, it's a good idea, but depends on exactly what aggregation you want to do. If you want to make this like a
Yeah, I guess.
plugin for something
Because
else,
I
or
mean,
if there is some use case that you think that might make sense to add natively to everyone to run.
yeah, and that's what I was considering. Because there are a bunch of account summaries that could be done that could be very useful instead of having everyone pull all their history now that the data is growing and growing and growing. Do
Yes.
some type of aggregation per account that makes sense, that make it easier for the faster queries, easier to get the interesting data. It could be aggregations of different token contracts. There could be a bunch of cool things. I mean, anyone could build some custom endpoint for this, but it kind of makes sense to have, okay, Hyperion, if you had this plugin or whatever, any operator that has this
Right.
type of data.
Kind of create like a toolkit to enable people to build their own transforms in like a standardized way.
Yeah, exactly. Some way to do that, and we can probably in a
Hmm.
different call talk about what type of data, because this is
Yeah.
something I've been considering quite a lot to do myself. But just doing one extra endpoint like that, I mean, it would be cool, but a lot of work to get it some generic one that works.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Let's think about like the one example case, right? And then maybe we can try to do some prototyping.
Cool. Next in the queue was Ross.
Hey, okay. So Igor and I, we talk quite a lot about things. I'm always pinging him directly for issues that I've had in experience. Something that I would really like to see, which touches a little bit to what you're talking about, Anders, but it's a way to dynamically pull in tiering inside of the Elastic database, where we can, at a rudimentary level, X amount of lost data, we can put that into like the high speed NVMe
Yeah.
drives. And
I really forgot to talk about that. One of the like the most important things of 4.0 is we want to add like the fully configurable lifecycle management. Now that everyone's changed it to the new model where the index chunks are split by blocks, so it's very easy to do that, and we will not have the problems of rollups that we had like way before when we used the native lifecycle management. But yes, this is I forgot. This is like very important, and we will have this implemented
that's
for
perfect.
sure.
At the moment, we do it all manually.
Yes,
I
because
do it manually.
it's it's the blockchain will keep growing. and we need to find a way to like preserve it as
Nobody's
cheaper
querying
as
that
cheap
stuff.
as possible, and also as more optimized as possible in the future.
Yeah, but all of the hits are always the last. It's current. It's all the current. It's like a rolling current hit. All the older stuff doesn't get touched. Obviously, you want it there, but the queries don't have to be super fast and immediate.
Yeah.
The other thing
Yeah,
was
there's also like searchable snapshots in the future. There are some things in Elasticsearch that we
I
could
saw that
leverage
there. Yeah,
for even coder storage, but they are not open sourcing that, so it's on their closed source license for Elastic Cloud. So I don't know if it's a good idea, but we could do something similar with code storage and moving to slower
or we
disk
could
as well.
go to OpenSearch.
Yeah. No, but they don't do searchable snapshots.
Okay, I didn't look. All right.
This was new. This was created after they cloned the code.
I saw the documentation for it there, and I was like, "Oh, that looks interesting." But I didn't go into
Yeah,
it.
but at the same time, it's for very simple stuff. It wouldn't help us much with it. We would lose a lot of the query capabilities. Would be like, okay, search for the transaction ID and get a bunch of raw data, and then you with the code later. So it's, I don't know if it makes sense.
A bug that I know I've pinged you about a few times when we're doing bulk indexing, how the queuing service disconnects before it reaches the head block, if you would, or at least the last block in the index, always by about 1,000 or 2,000 blocks, and then I have to restart it just to catch up that loss. But I still have that issue, not on all of them, but on brand new installations, I've got that same issue.
Yeah, it's been hard to track this one because I see it happen with me sometimes, but for example, in the development environment I use, it doesn't happen. So it's very hard to know when it happens. It happens in production sometimes, and it's hard to check. Um, but yeah, anyway,
I can
I
do
mean,
I can I can I can do it 100% every time on a production server just by trying to backfill with another indexer. So
okay.
if you want, I can give me your key, you can SSH and go add it on the indexer and just play and play and play. You'll see it will crash every time. But it has to be a big enough block amount. If you do 4,000 blocks, it probably won't. If you do about 8,000 blocks, then it will start to do it.
No, but I was testing that with 1 million, 2 million blocks, and it was finishing.
Yeah,
that's weird.
I get it every time on that. Yeah. And then one final feature request, and I know it's definitely not a priority, but it would be awesome to add some additional functionality to the Block Explorer and actually incorporate it, because at the moment it doesn't compile. Or I don't know if you fixed it, but you can't actually.
Yeah, no. We decided to stop a little bit on the Explorer until we have the new backend infrastructure working.
Yeah.
But yes, we need to get back to it and make it
Because
work again.
it's really powerful. It'll just be nice if you could get some more queryability out of it, just straight up. Something on the lines of what they did with the EOSQ. Just the kind of language that you can type in there in order to get certain data out.
You mean the like the SQL-like thing they do?
It doesn't. It can be anything. It can be anything. Like even just so that you can go and get a specific transaction for a specific account, or have a look and see
You
how many
mean
tokens
like
have you
to
received.
merge? You mean like to merge queries to be able to combine like specific requests there?
Well, I want to know how many. Show me all of the received WACs that account's got. Because at the moment you can't do that. You can go to the account, and then you can just sort of scroll through it, but you can't.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Just.
No, you mean things that you can already do with like a direct get actions query, but just filtering. Like you could do add, transfer, to
Yes.
some account, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Hyperion,
That kind of stuff.
Hyperion already have this API ready. You mean just be able to do that from the Explorer?
Explorer.
Okay.
Yeah. I reckon
Okay.
it'll be nice. It'll just complete the Explorer to make it
Okay.
like really sort of useful.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah, I'm always afraid of like giving too flexibility on like query languages like this SQL like thing, because it could create a known request that may.
Well, even if it's just buttons to click, right?
Yeah,
Just so that a
if
normal
there
person
are
can just.
if there are more filters, and then it's fine.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I reckon. I mean, that's what I'd like to see. I know, because especially on networks that don't have block explorers.
Right. Yeah,
Like the
because it's
available
easy
block
to
explorers.
plug and play. Yeah.
Yeah. Like on your test nets and stuff, you can just it's all there done.
Yeah, I seen the chat, the thing of the paginations. Yeah, so like I talked about this several times. The correct way to do paginations is not with skip, because skip and limit is the native way of let's see how I explain this. If you request again the same request on Elasticsearch, it will be cached, and then you use skip limit. The thing is, since we have a lot of data, possible billions of data, um, the way you do pagination, it's usually by the after and before fields, either by blocks, block numbers, or by using the global sequence from transactions, where you can also always keep going from the last one you requested to and so on. So like let's say if you use skip limit, Elasticsearch itself will limit you to 10,000. And this is something you need to change in all the nodes in your cluster. It's not something that we can parameterize in Hyperion, because it's not a limit on the API. It will be limited by Elasticsearch, and we really don't recommend doing limits, skips or limits higher than 10,000, because it will be very slow. It's better to focus on a small search window, and then move that search window to the next dates or blocks or global sequences. I don't know if I was clear with that, but
Yeah, thanks for answering
Makes
that.
sense. Yeah.
it's like unfortunately it's like not it's you cannot jump to a page like you can get action. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, you cannot jump to a page, but if you I don't know the use case where each page you have will have more than 10,000 actions, because the problem is like you should be filtering more instead of like giving 10,000 items for the user to scroll through. This doesn't make sense in my opinion. So it's not about like for the user experience, it doesn't make sense. If the users have to scroll for 10,000 items to find something, then it needs to filter more for other options, for example, instead of doing that paginations. Because you could do like if you get the data for a single day, you can it's all right to paginate between 100 200 actions. You know.
All right. Yeah, thanks for picking up the questions and answering them.
Yeah, or maybe another idea, if you want to, you can preload all the data you need in memory, and then like after preloading everything, like let's say the user has 200,000 transactions, you preload everything, doing different requests, and then you move through that data on another database. Because on Elasticsearch, unfortunately for optimizations, it's not recommended to change that number. We tried before.
All right. If I remember correctly, we had 4 or 6 weeks ago, we had Pavlo with a question about the Hyperion streaming client. I'm not sure if that's if that question is still up, but Pavlo,
Yes.
now's your chance to ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. Well, currently it's still kind of under 3 dots because I'm not sure how to properly implement the streaming for the existing up-to-date configuration in the Hyperion 3.3.9 with minor versions, because basically the previous version of streaming is not supported and the new version of streaming is not compatible with the previous version of streaming. So I have to still use internally the older version of Hyperion in order to feed the stream to existing app, which is prospectors, basically, as example. So I wasn't able to re-implement it with new streaming type, and in addition to that, if I understand correctly, new streaming requires separate endpoint, and I set up
Yes.
a separate endpoint, and for some reason it doesn't work. And I didn't have time to deep dive on that
Okay.
investigation, but it's not like it was before. Just this to sum up.
Okay, yeah, we moved the. You were right. On the latest Hyperion and the latest stream client, you can only connect using the dedicated port. What we recommend is to do the port forwarding. I can see if I have the on the documentation because you're on the GitHub. If you go to Hyperion docs and we go to stream client, um, sorry, not stream client, the stream configuration for providers. So, yeah, the full port is 1234, but we recommend using the yeah. Who is controlling the
Me. It's me.
If you go to, it's not on the developer side, on the provider side. I think the problem
Okay.
on Pavlo's case is on the configuration for providers. Go to configuration there, yeah, and then scroll down to enable streaming. Like on the right, there's enable streaming. Yeah, so we recommend this configuration for NGINX, but you can do on HA proxy or somewhere else to forward the stream path to that port. And do this configuration works with the latest version.
Yeah, so I tried this, and I tried to actually, my tools for verifying that stream works are simple. I have TCP socket, excuse me, not TCP socket, WebSocket tool, which is called, if I remember
No,
correctly, that's WebSocket. Is that correct?
yes, but I don't think you will be able to do anything with any standard WebSocket tool.
Yeah, give me one
You need
moment.
to use the client.
Yeah, I understand, but in general, it should work as the standard WebSocket. And if I just connect and with the proper tool, basically the proper tool, I mean that tool is able to read WebSocket streams. It should receive at least some information, right? Or
No,
I'm wrong.
no. It doesn't do anything unless you pass the correct request. So it will start sending you data. So if you just connect, it will happen nothing to the connection. There are several steps that happens on the client and handshakes and everything that has to happen in the order. I don't know from my head right now, but the only thing you can test quickly is just to do a quick curl in a way that the curl will know that is transport unknown, meaning that it connected to something that's not HTTP, and then it should be indicating that it's correctly redirecting to that API. Because
So
if it's something else, it will fail directly and or give a HTTP message.
yeah, I remembered what tool I used. So it's TelSocket. Basically, with TelSocket, you can
Yes.
directly verify that socket IO on the older version works, but it doesn't work with the.
Yes, because it was changed. Before on the older version, we use uh like a more standard approach, but now we can allow almost 50 times the performance with the new approach.
So, can you please reiterate which steps should I use for actually just verifying whether the stream works? Because I have it set up on the existing up-to-date version, but I wasn't able to verify whether it works or not because, well, I used the old approach. And by new approach, you mean I have to send some payload?
You were not no, you don't. I mean, direct usage of the WebSocket we do not support. We support with the client. If you want to reverse engineer the clients to another language, please feel free to do. It's open source, no problem. But I cannot explain you how to directly access the data without the Hyperion Stream client for Node.js or
Basically,
the browser, you mean?
it has only, well, announced compatibility with clients is basically only client that is compatible with the new version of Stream is Hyperion Stream client. That's the only single supported version of.
Right now, yes.
Okay.
We never officially supported direct connection with WebSockets to the stream client. We
Yeah.
never like opened that API for usage without the client. I mean, it could be done. It can probably still be done if you read and understand how it connects. You can probably do the same thing without the client if you are working in another language. But for now, we only do support the client for the browser because we think the browser and
Yeah,
Node.js, because it's
that's
already
totally
working out,
fair.
it's the most used use case.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's my problem was actually require. I'm not saying that's problem was Hyperion. That's my problem was requiring the latest version of Hyperion because it requires to just
I see. Yeah.
change
Okay.
everything from the streaming perspective. That was my point. So
Okay.
Russ just relayed one of his wonderful technical how-to articles to us, which is explaining how to set up Hyperion streaming on a load balancer, in this case, HA proxy. This might be another helpful resource.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's time, just because there was a question yesterday in the Hyperion group. I mean, when we originally created the Hyperion streaming for real-time data, and sometimes depending on the queries, requesting a lot of older data to be received before the real-time data comes in can still create problems. So this is some area where we need to work a little bit on making it more stable to push old data before actually start streaming real time, because it creates caching issues and back pressure and a lot of other situations.
I guess you are referring to the discussion yesterday in the Hyperion channel, right?
Yes.
Once we're there, let me also share the link to the group if anyone here is not in it yet.
For the party happens.
Yeah, that's where the Hyperion party is at. Okay, thanks for sharing all of those answers, Igor.
You're welcome. Okay. Thank you.
Any more comments, suggestions, feedback, also from developer perspective, like from the consumer perspective? Anything you wish for to be included in the next release, if possible? Any experience while working with Hyperion you want to share with us? I guess we don't have any further remarks on that. Great. Glad to have you here and be able to answer all those questions. Thanks again, Igor.
Thank you.
And that's where we move to our agenda bingo. Anything that hasn't been discussed yet and is on the bingo, just name the topic and your questions or feedback, and we can talk about it. We got 9 minutes left.
Hot dogs or sandwiches?
That's an unpopular opinion, I think.
Prove me I'm wrong.
How's everybody going with 5.0 on Wax? How many of you guys have deployed it already?
I've rolled a few out to some of our nodes. It's going swimmingly on all of our vanilla nodes. Because of some of the wonkiness with the Wax nodes just in general, I haven't fully deployed it out, although it seems fine. Our BP is actually already over on it, so it's been pretty solid. The issues we've had recently were related to power issues with the generator.
Unless
I
my
hope you
team
have
done anything last 2 days, we only have it running on testnet, and we have it on pretty much all testnet nodes except some backups.
Yeah.
It's definitely across our entire Wax testnet infra. I was just referring to it is publicly facing API, the production BP, and then one of our state histories feeding stuff. So it's running fine as far as I can tell. But I slowed up because, like I said, there were a few unlinkable cases, which, in all fairness, were all 404 nodes. And other people started noticing EOS USA coma-like symptoms. So, but that I don't really know if that's related to 5.0, in my opinion. Very well may be. Who the hell knows?
So today there was an issue being reported by Wax Hive Guild. Do we feel like this is more related to 5.0 or this is just a peering issue?
Hashtag BP Live,
BP Live.
in my opinion.
I have no idea. So the issue was kind of weird. I looked at the Sentry nodes, and there was around the time just the connection broke, and then there was a fork, and then it caught itself afterwards. The only thing I could say about that is that the one Sentry was still on 3 point something. And so we've updated this 1.25.0 since then. The block producer was already on 5.0. And the other Sentry node is on 4.05. So I don't know. I'm in the middle of updating.
Out of curiosity, where are these nodes running? I assume Hetchner. Are they running in Germany or Finland or both?
Finland. We going mostly for Finland now?
Are they all together?
Are all of
Like-
those with issues from Finland? Because I noticed some strange issues with Finland nodes today. We had about 20-30 minutes where they were working normally, but we had the problems accessing them properly, so we thought there was some bigger issue.
Since most of our newer nodes are now all in Finland, so we used to have mixed nodes, but we are mostly putting them all in Finland so they're closer together and have less latency. So
That's a double-edged sword.
can't really say that it's about Finland nodes. I'm not sure, because half of our previous ones are all from Finland and didn't have issues beforehand. So
No, but I was just saying that we had some network issues with the nodes today in Finland, not the ones we have in Germany, and not those we are hosting ourselves, just the ones in Finland today. So maybe there was some Hetchner issue.
Did you get any emails about?
I have not checked my email.
Okay, because I have not received any notification that there is any issue today. And I was also
I got
just
an email.
You got an email? You have some in Finland?
There's some maintenance in Hetzner, but it doesn't really say exactly what it was on.
That's weird. So
One thing I might suggest, I mean, because it sounds like if they're all kind of in the same data center, you're more likely to run into what I ran into, because I'm all on-prem, with one location.
you cannot really determine which data center you get. They have several in Finland, so
correct. But the point is, I mean, there's somewhat of a localization to it. My whole point is that it does not like losing internet at all, really, right? And if you get a little behind, simply somebody just bouncing a firewall, it can cause a little bit of a latency that kind of causes Node OS sometimes not to always stay in sync as rapidly as need be. It's gotten better. They've definitely programmed some
That looks
fixes
like
in
our fault on the.
And maybe, Michael, maybe you get routes working to other machines that are in the same data center, but not out of the data center. Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, in staying in sync locally, I mean, definitely.
Yes.
But there's a new parameter. The reason I mentioned this is there's actually a parameter that's buried down in there, and it's just the default. Every 30 seconds, it should be trying, I think by default, it should be trying to kind of check the health of the peer-to-peer connection. And if not, drop it, force it close, and reopen it back up. Because, and I could recall this very rapidly, if you just unplug a network cable and replugged it back in, which most people can't do, but it would cause Node OS. I could ping the peers that I wasn't syncing with, but you could see them in NetStat that they just kind of hang open and don't realize they're not getting data. Well, the problem is, I mean, we're dealing in the world of microseconds, right? So as soon as you slip in the logs you sent, it looked like there was a Sweden block, which was 5 blocks before the block you were signing, came in with 8-second latency. So it's almost like there was a little bit of a blip on the front end coming through. Un poquito. But it caused you, I mean, Sweden made the decision that you weren't signing that block and signed that block number instead. The logs you sent was your node trying to sign a block later than that, and it realizing, oh shit, the chain I'm now getting is not my stale chain. Now, what is interesting is there are other nodes, non-producing nodes, producing nodes included, that can get themselves into this unlinkable block. And that's why I made fun that, hey, just be glad it forked itself back, because we've seen almost the same type of scenario, get it into an unlinkable scenario, and it just stay unlinkable until you restart it and it goes.
Yeah, that's
the log
we also had before.
Look at the block number, and then look at the latency and the timing, and you can see they're half a millisecond apart, but you're signing a block for a number well after the block that you're receiving. I think it was a Sweden block. And then, of course, it started forking and going, whoa. And eventually you caught back up. And that's a lot of times caused simply by an internet blip that kind of causes them. The parameter, you can lower the parameter to make it reforce reconnection more frequently, although 30-second works pretty well. But anyway, that's an issue.
Okay, so but Anders, you're saying that issue could come from your node losing connection first?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying we had issue on the Finland server, so potentially there was something bigger,
Okay.
but that seemed to possibly be because of a router in Stockholm that had some error that Rakuten is showing right now on screen. And this was not at the same time as your issue. I was just saying that today Finland had issue with connections. Perhaps there was something earlier as well.
So there seems to have been an issue resolved just yesterday on Helsinki. I suppose
That was
Hell1
this
is
morning.
Helsinki.
I don't know.
Or this morning?
Yeah, it was this morning.
But that's for cloud
And-
servers.
You're right.
And
Nothing for the backbone,
IPv6.
right? So maybe this one here, network Helsinki 1.
Yeah, but I'm
This
thinking
switch.
that's our
Maybe.
problem and not the one he had.
Okay.
Because our nodes
Is
were
there any
working
details
fine,
if
it's
you
just
click on
not
that?
for us.
Again, please, Ben?
Yeah.
Does it show any more details if you click on that?
Yeah.
Uh,
A fault on our router in Stockholm.
what was fixed?
It was fixed just, what is it? Like,
When did it
Oh, they say they rerouted the traffic
Oh,
to solve
9:37.
connectivity.
Yeah, that's exactly the timestamp.
13:28
UTC.
UTC, so 14:28 your time. Could that
Yeah,
be?
when they
No, when
reroute
it
that
starts.
traffic.
When it started, yes.
Yeah,
10.
I mean, it could be because our show's 7:37, I think. Let me check.
Here's the way I look at it is that you sign a block every 2 minutes and you're signing it for 6 seconds. So you have like a 5% chance that any sort of a blip or firewall reboot or reroute or anything like that is going to be right in the middle of your round. And the way Antelope is built, if you don't get it to your next one in line in time, you didn't do it and they march forward, so it is very unforgiving. And so if you get a little bit of a jitter, a couple of seconds at the wrong time, which again, every 2 minutes, you have a 5% chance of it being your window.
Yeah.
And it just disappearing. Go ahead.
But there's no problem in that. I think this is the correct way to do it. It should it should work like that.
Yeah, that for the sake of the argument, not. I mean that, and they changed it already. It used to try to figure it out and be like, oh man, who's the right person here? Now it just says, nope. The next person says, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I don't see your block. You may have signed it. You may have sent it to other people. But the next person in line doesn't see it in time.
Yeah, this is why I see I see a problem by peering 5.0 version with older ones, right?
Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen, but I think that it will amplify the issue because there are cases where you will have a different route on incoming and outgoing depending on the routing patterns. So it depending on the peers you have, it could because 5.0 will be checking, it will be doing that health check, right? And older versions are not doing.
The health check I was talking about is self-checking of the TCP connections. That's been in there since like 4, maybe 3. The new 5.0 definitely does have some optimizations, but I think it just defaults to the old peer-to-peer for 4.0. I mean, if it has the intelligence to be able to, I think it responds what blocks it has and is more intelligent on.
No, I was talking about like I don't remember the version exactly, but way before I remember if a peer was not responding, it was kind of disabled. And even if it gets back up at some point, it wasn't trying to reconnect.
Correct.
Right?
That's what I was talking about. That was fixed in like 3, I think. or one of the versions of it. There may be other iterations of it, but that you can cause that by unplugging and replugging the network cable.
Yes.
And that's this new parameter that's actually by default, I think 30 seconds, but you can drop it. I've run it down at 2 seconds and said, every 2 seconds, check those damn TCP connections and see if they're active or not. And if not, reestablish them. And that kind of helps keep it from getting into a coma. And our problem, because we're all local on-prem with 0 millisecond latency between the peers, I would replicate without my entire network instantaneously the wrong version. And then my entire mesh would say, nope, unlinkable chain. And they changed some of them.
Yeah.
Correct. They changed some of the mechanisms. So at least you have a better ability to fork back from instead of saying unlinkable.
Yeah.
But that being said, it sounds like you had a little bit of a network blip, and it just took NodeOS a little bit to kind of shift over. And then your blocks got signed for you. It marked you as missing your round, and then the next round of blocks, you were routing out perfectly. I don't know if 5.0 is going to make that big of a difference. I have no clue. We'll see. I'm curious, but it should be agnostic. If it'll talk to me smartly, do it. If not, 4.0, just sync the dumb way it used to.
It also happened right at the handshake, just when Sweden was done and we were supposed to start. It happened. So yeah, I don't know. Keeping an eye on it, but I think the node is fine for now.
BP life, baby.
Hashtag. I forgot the hashtag.
That's true.
Okay, then let's conclude this incident. Any further topics we need to urgently discuss before we conclude the call? Doesn't seem so. Then I have an inquiry to you. Wish for a guest that we should invite to our next roundtable. Anyone from the developers of Antelope to developers of products and services on WAX. Who do you want to have on the call to ask questions, give feedback? Just throw in some names of people and I will kindly invite them.
I would say, I mean, I've heard a lot of development about the WAX wallet and new features and changes and things like that, like reputation score and whatnot. That might be an interesting discussion topic and bring some developers. I mean, I don't have many questions.
Okay. Hey, whatever happened to that?
How is people responding to the power up? I wasn't.
They care more about Woofy token than they do the power up.
True.
Yeah.
Most of the users are still in this. I still have stake it and they're not needing it, right?
Yeah.
So one bit of feedback I will try to give Stan is he's currently tracking on bData1. He's tracking actions and accounts and transfers, but only for contracts. So since the power up, since eosio.savings .fees, which is receiving the fees, is not a contract, it's not tracked by bData1. But yeah, I will ask him to start tracking that too, if possible. That way we can have a look at accumulated fees and how many transactions actually use PowerUp. But overall, from reading all the groups, there hasn't been a big complaint yet, especially not on the community focused groups, right? Do you guys receive any feedback or any complaints about PowerUp yet?
I just got
I enjoyed
with
it.
the wallet.
I had to deploy a new contract today, and instead of having to go through the normal process of all the RAM first of all, but then also having to get a couple hundred wax worth of CPU and get net and stick it to a new account and go back and forth a million times, I was able to just spend 0.1 wax and just be done with it and just deploy a contract. So I know it's not going to be that cheap forever, but it's very useful.
Mm-hmm. So it significantly lowers your cost when
Yeah,
developing.
no, it's just like when you're deploying a new contract, you don't want to go through that every time. Like every time you set up a new account, you have to stick a couple hundred wax to it, and it's just like a whole process. So just being able to press a button and spend 0.1 wax and just be done for the day is so nice.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Does anyone have the resources to, I think it's a simple task, go through the transactions on a certain account and sum up the fees accumulated?
I can do that in Kibana.
I was about to
I
say,
think.
Anders does it all the time in Kibana. I mean, Igor probably could too. I hear he's good at it. He might know the data set.
So yeah,
Which account is it?
eosio.fees, which is then
Oh,
sending.
you want to sum? Okay. And to sum that to transfer to.
Yeah,
to that fees.
Exactly, the accumulated wax
Exactly.
amount sent to EOSIO from EOSIO fees. I think that's the indicator for the fees, the accumulation of fees.
Okay, let me create a area. Options.
We could
When
make
power up was this is fine.
we looked at it internally, but we couldn't make any sense of, for example, a fee of almost 1 wax being prepaid, which seems a lot.
Fees.
Probably somebody's script just trying to make it work.
I think that would be a great stat to have.
Include null says that EOSIO fees is emptied every time someone claims rewards.
I think that's not an issue when we look at the fees received, like the token received.
Okay, I have the chart. Publishing some.
Oh, okay. Include null just shared a nice link with us. And he's also reporting that Waxblock will have a dedicated page for that soon.
Right.
Okay, so EOS authorities, Block Explorer seems to be supporting
Cool.
exactly.
Anyway, I can. I don't know if I'll kill your. This was the since power up was added. Don't know if it's small for you guys to see.
Yeah, I think it was added on the 23rd or 20. No.
Yeah.
20. Yeah. Oh, it's going stellar.
22. So now we have 610,000 wax cumulative sum. If you guys, we can probably split this. We can probably split this per account. Let me see something here.
You said 1,000, but wasn't that just 610?
610,000, yes.
Is it 1,000?
No? Oh, no.
It's just
No.
610,
Sorry.
right?
Yeah, you're right. No, it's just 610. Yeah. Because here in Brazil, we use the comma as the thing. So, yeah.
That's not confusing.
I want to check like per per account. 1 second. No. Okay.
There's someone up with a power up of 4,200 wax for the next 8 hours. Okay.
Does that mean someone made a mistake?
There's that one wax.
Not sure.
Yeah, those are the. It's basically one account doing almost half of it.
Is that a bot?
It's probably
The
my
other-
feed.
3
I don't 33oq.c.1.
Is it an Alcor or Alien World bot?
That's what I was like.
seems to
"All
be
right, let's
quiet
take a
now.
few."
It's an ordinary user clicking once a second on a transfer.
Yeah, on a token pair on Alcor, on the EOS blockchain and on Wax.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just
exactly.
a whole family of players. They're just behind the same firewall.
They're just sending power up fees. What is this?
Not sure, but in some cases, that's what we found out. The amount of power up for like is pretty high
Yeah.
compared to what you would need to do a simple transfer. So it's just allowed to prepay 1 wax or 0.5 wax for a transaction.
Wait, it got. Oh, they're sending power ups for the bots, I think.
No.
Why is this a different receiver of the power up than the?
Because you
Sender.
can pay for someone else, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what they're doing.
Right. So this relatively small payment was for themselves, it seems. But looking at that one here with 1 wax, where is it?
Can you break out all the receivers of that power up, Igor?
And
From the
you
data?
Oh,
and you won't guess what they're playing.
Is it Alcor or Alien Worlds or Farmer's World?
It's Alien Worlds
Yeah.
and Federation. Yeah,
All right. Maybe we can take some extra time next week, Tuesday, when we have the unofficial roundtable in between, and focus on some more development-related topics, and also add a closer look into power up. That would be great.
My tool tells me that 263 wax in my wallet right now would get me 109,000 milliseconds of CPU. So I can't imagine what 4,000 wax is doing on one account, or they split it up amongst multiple.
Oh, it's one receiver with or one active power up with 4,200 and something. And what they're doing is mining.
That's crazy. Playing.
Yeah, playing. Excuse me. Is this graph here accurate? CPU utilization?
which one is with me?
I don't think it's accurate. It says that you have 448 milliseconds available, but the account is has a power up of 4,200.
We're not seeing what you are seeing.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, that is resume my presentation. Okay. Like this is the number 1 power up account right now with a power up of 4,200 wax. And here it says his utilization of CPU is 23%, and the available amount is 451, which doesn't add up to the numbers Mike just provided.
Didn't he say 4,000? No,
I
maybe
think
he didn't.
he's.
I was
Yeah, he
thinking
said.
about decimals. I was in the wrong place.
Wait, yeah, who said 4,000? Did we make a mistake again and it was 4?
No, I think you said like 263 WAGs for over 1,000 milliseconds, right?
Yeah, my tool right now tells me the 263 wax, because that's what I have in my wallet. I just have the slider all the way up. It says it will get 109,000 milliseconds of CPU.
Yeah, okay. Either that or this year is wrong then, because this account has a power up of 4,200 and it says it has an available CPU of 450 milliseconds.
Well, my thing says that 2.63 wax will get me 1,200 milliseconds, so let me try it out and see what happens.
Yeah, thank you, Igor, for putting out the stats too.
No problem. I was trying to find which account they were sending to, but it was, at least on the feed, it was also the same account.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do have an issue with the calculation.
It's hard, man.
But there are also plenty of wallets with a huge power up, if the number is correct, right? It seems just so much.
It's just 4 decimals there.
Are you sure? Because this one here is a comma, and then
Yeah, but
there's a
then it's
colon.
you don't use comma and then a dot in the same
Yeah,
decimals.
this is for.
So I'm thinking that it's actually 4.2 point something, and not 4,000. So it should
Okay.
actually be 8 decimals, and it's in the wrong place. Because it's
Ah.
probably built for EOS,
Yeah.
right? And EOS has 4 decimals.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I
Exactly.
wonder
So
how
I think
much
this
I'm sure they
interface
just
is
ported
wrong.
it. Yeah, they
Yeah.
just ported the EOS interface, and it'll
Yeah.
tweak it as needed for wax.
Because EOS has 4 decimals, right?
Yeah, they had that
Yeah,
issue when they first launched it for Wax, the Block Explorer.
Okay. Who's gonna tell them?
You?
You, the
Okay.
OIG.
I will.
It would make sense, right? That it's just 4 Wax in power up and not 4,000.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Glad we looked at it. Definitely something we need to pick up on our next discussion. We need to closely monitor the situation with power up.
And by the way,
It'll take a while. It'll take a while.
I just
for
looked at
tools
the
to catch
error. I looked at the error I got. It's not off drastically at all. It says I'm trying to spend 2.633 to get almost 1,500 milliseconds, and the error is that I need 2.634. So it's like literally exactly right, but it's off by like 0.01 wax or something.
So, okay. And Include Null just mentioned that the number is that's just the response from the API call.
Yeah, but they had issues before with how they process numbers. I don't know if they have that right now, but it would make sense. Someone can just verify it? I'm handicapped on my laptop.
It's server-side generated. I'd say include. I may be wrong with that one.
Yeah, the one problem is like you see the total CPU weight. You need to use that number in the calculation for the power up. The number gets way bigger than what the native number type for JavaScript does support. So you get wrong values from that part of the calculation. So you need to use big number for this. So if they're not paying attention to the limit there, it could be giving wrong values.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We had this issue before in the US.
Okay.
When,
But this
Good
can
timing.
be looked out later, I guess.
yeah.
I'll add the comment to the evaluation. Thanks for pointing that out. All right. So much stuff to discuss. We barely make it into 1 hour. If you want to, we can hang out longer, but the call is supposed to be ending after 1 hour. So let's maybe conclude for today. 7 days. Next Tuesday, same time, we are meeting again. More development focused. Also bring along your demos of stuff you're building, things you want to show off to the community and other guilds and builders too. And thanks for today's guest, Igor. And
Try
have
to
a
be
great week.
more frequently here.
Yeah, whenever you can make it. We
Sure.
enjoy your company. So
No, this time is actually usually all right for me, unless something happens.
all right. Great. Yeah, let's conclude today's roundtable. Have a great week, everyone. And let's keep chatting and talking.
Thank you.